Hi, I'm Erin Lele, and I'm an autism mom. I have almost 20 years of experience navigating services, biomedical approaches, and advocating for my son. Through all of this, I've had so much personal growth and learned about the power of perspective. My intention on this show is to share ideas, build community, and remind you that you aren't alone on this journey. And maybe even help you see more in your child and yourself. So let's do this. Let's grow through autism together. Hello, welcome to the Growing Through Autism podcast. In the last episode, it was part 1 of my conversation with Julie Sando, and we got to learn about her journey in the autism community, about how her perspective and her approach has evolved. Julie talked about the brain-body disconnect and the impact that it has, how understanding it can change the way that we view and actually work with our autistic loved ones. Then she explains how we can start to make that shift. Awareness, talking to our autistic loved ones about the brain-body disconnect, practicing purposeful movement. It was a really, really good, informational, valuable conversation that can be life-changing for people who experience the brain-body disconnect. And so if you haven't watched or listened to it, please go check it out because it can really be impactful. And today we're going to continue that conversation because Julie has even more to share. She is just a wealth of knowledge and experience and has such a heart for her community. So let's listen in. A little bit about what you're offering now, where people can come and learn more and maybe get some more training.
We have a 3-step process at Autistically Inclined. So there's Sprout, Grow, and Flourish. So Sprout is all about mindset. We talked about kind of with step 1, it's so important to have that mindset shift of, I'm going to be talking to you differently. I'm going to start helping you understand what's happening with your brain and your body in this disconnect. It's a whole way of thinking that is the place to start. So that's why Sprout is 9 different mindsets. And it's great because it's kind of like a podcast. They're videos that you can listen to the audio and just have it on while you're doing the dishes. And you're just seeping in this different way of thinking that is life-changing. So that's Sprout.
If this is your first time learning about the brain-body disconnect, start there because in order for you to be quote-unquote successful in this kind of communication, you've got to have the right kind of mindset. And I'll be honest, even now, when I feel myself getting kind of like a funk or going back to my old ways, I'll listen to or I'll watch one of those videos to kind of just recalibrate my brain. We all ebb and flow through how we're thinking and feeling. And maybe we're not going to be in that mindset all the time, but I want to be there more often than not. So being able to come back to it is huge. And it doesn't feel, it's not something that feels overwhelming. It feels really empowering listening to it, which is awesome.
Yes. Right.
Yes.
Like 10-minute little clips to feed your brain and help motivate and inspire you. Love it.
Yes. And it flows over into other parts of your life too. I feel like that mindset, it's not just great just with, like our loved ones, but it's great for life in general. Like it's an approach I feel like I totally have adopted. Yes.
I love it.
Okay. So we got the mindset, we got Sprout.
Yep.
Let's say, okay, my mindset, it's getting good. So now what's next?
Next up is Grow. So this is growing your everyday action. So this really goes along nicely with what we talked about with our 2-step process, working on that purposeful movement. It's such a great foundation for getting to work on communication. So this Grow gives you 9 everyday actions that you can take in your life, different ways that you can connect with your loved one and help them become more purposeful in life. A lot of times when people think about starting this communication journey, it's overwhelming. How do we even get from point A to point B, let alone Z, right? That's overwhelming. So Grow is really great at taking that pressure off and giving you things that you can incorporate into your day-to-day life. So that example of passing the remote, those everyday things that you can do that also help to rebuild trust and connection. Because, like you were saying, Erin, a lot of trust has been broken with our kids. And
Yeah.
so we want to make sure that we connect first, then communicate, connect, communicate, connect, communicate. So this is all the mindset of Sprout, and the everyday actions and Grow are really fostering that connection piece first.
That's so important because I know when you first start with the letterboard, for some people, things kind of happen a little bit more quickly as far as them being able to really have good purposeful motor and being able to share more openly on the letterboard. So for some people, it comes really quick. But then there's those of us, it's a longer process. And I think that why not get the most out of the journey as you can? Why not use that as an opportunity to connect? You know what I mean? There's so many times when me and Noah will sit down for a session when I'm like, he's gonna do XYZ. And when I come with like that tight grip, nothing gets done. It feels yucky. Not much progress is made. But if I come in and I'm like, you know what? Well, I have this one thing I want to focus on, or this small goal I want to reach. And I'm going to be so happy if we do. But if we don't, just the fact that we showed up and we try to get practice in is going to be good. And I always try to share whatever my intention is at the beginning, to share with Noah, but also to remind myself, because I need the reminder and it helps me focus. But then those are the times that me and Noah feel more connected and we make more progress. And so I think starting with a solid foundation of the mindset, building on that with that trust, that connection, those are such essential layers to be more successful. I don't know if successful is the right word, but being able to get the most out of this journey through text-based communication. Because I honestly feel like even if we never got to fully open conversational open communication, the journey's been worth it. Because damn it, I'm gonna cry again. How much, because I feel like I've always been connected to Noah really close, but it's taken us to like a whole nother level. And so yes, I'm so grateful. Woo, sorry, I know that was long-winded, but
Oh, I
yes.
love yours.
Ah, but so meaningful. Like it means so much more, you know? And it's gonna
Yes.
help me feel better, because essentially I want him to be able to go do things on his own, to be able to communicate on his own, all these things. And it just feels better to me, like we're connected, we understand each other more, and to let him flourish right out there.
And this is so hugely important, Erin. People may see success stories online, they read books or blogs or whatever, and they just see the end result and they don't see all the work that went into it to get to that point. Some people do have a faster journey and some people have a slower journey. And it's so easy for people to look at and compare themselves to the people who might have a faster time and then to feel discouraged. But I think what you're saying is so huge, and it takes that pressure off, right? There's so much pressure
Yeah.
to be able to reach a really big goal. And so if you can come back to that mindset of enjoying the journey and like recognizing all that you're getting out of it, it takes the pressure off, and you start to see how life-changing it is, even though you haven't gotten to that huge goal yet, right?
Yeah, right. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so we've got the mindset. Our connection is solid. I'm ready to jump into learning this communication piece. Tell me about it.
So Flourish is, and when you're in Flourish, you also get access to Sprout and Grow. So you can just jump straight to Flourish and do the parts that feel good, right? From Sprout and Grow. So Flourish, whew. So we used to do a 9-month program. That's what Erin was talking about, that has a start and an end. And there's a value in that for sure. And what we saw is that sometimes during that 9 months, for some families, life gets crazy.
Yeah.
And Also, let's say you've done that 9 months, there's still support that's needed. This is an ongoing process that's always changing and growing. So you're at a different start point every several months. So everybody just needs ongoing support. Support needs don't end in autism,
No.
right? So we created this monthly, really affordable membership so that we can be with you for the long run and hold your hand. And when life gets full or overwhelming, you pause that membership and you come back when you're ready. We're in it for the long haul with you so that we can be with you through those ups and downs. And also, when life gets crazy, sometimes that's when you need the community the most, right?
Yeah, right. And that's one thing. I think I touched on it in that first episode, but that community piece is everything. And I feel like even if you just jumped to Flourish and you never did the Sprout and Grow, although you should, I'm just saying, so you have a good foundation. But if you didn't, the Flourish program, it has like everything embedded in it because you get support and learning the actual skills to communicate. But then also embedded in there is a communication coaching call. So if you have questions, you can come and you can ask your specific questions. But it's open to like if there's things that you need to share, like you're experiencing a lot of dysregulation, because that's tied to the ability to communicate more efficiently. We can talk about that. And there's something that's so validating that when I come and I share that it's been a really hard week and I'm not sure how to address this dysregulation, and then another member of our community is like, oh my gosh, I've been going through that too, or that happened to me last month, but you know what? I tried this. You might want to try it. There's something so connecting about that. I feel like sometimes it's like, when you go to church and you refill your cup and you're ready to go, that's what it's like for me. And I think for a lot of families, especially in our community, I know most parents that I talk to, even though they want community and they value it, they don't always make the effort to get it because we feel like we got to focus on our kids. Don't worry about us. Like, we'll be good. We got to focus on our kids, but we ought to be good so that when we are focusing on them, that we're giving fully, right? And so it helps to have that community piece kind of built into the program because you need it. Even on the days that I feel like, oh, I'm good, when where they're sharing, no, it fills me up for sure. For sure. Yes.
So true. Every month, you can have that consistent time set aside to focus on you and your needs and how to help your son or daughter or the person you're working with, right? We've got parents, professionals, anybody in this group, how to help them move forward in their communication skills. You also have a call where you do video feedback. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah. It helps because sometimes explaining it and actually seeing it are two totally different things, because there's things that in the moment you don't know what could be happening. And so you can pick an area where you're stuck or where you have a question, record yourself doing your spelling practice, you upload your video, submit it to the group, and we watch each other's videos and we comment like, wow, you did this piece really good, or oh, I noticed that this was kind of happening and I wonder if that might be where the breakdown is or whatever. So we can share that way. And then we do a call once a month where we're sharing the videos and we're talking about them. And we have Kate, who is amazing, so much experience, all the things, like she's amazing. She'll coach us through like, you know what, this is a strategy that I think is worth trying. It's so great at really helping you address specifically your individual needs or questions. That video feedback that in itself is gold.
It's so nice to be able to, like you said, with the communication partner coaching call, when you're hearing other people and relating to other people, you learn so much too. So you're getting to watch other people's videos and hear their feedback. And that's nice about that, right? The pressure's not on me. Like, it's nice to have it, and then to also have the ability to hear other people and let them process, and you gain so much from that too.
Yes. And another huge piece of the program too, I think, is the group lesson, because you're getting the practice in. But what I think is the most cool is like, we're talking about, we want to connect. Sorry, I'm probably going to cry again. Let me just get my tissue. oh God. But I think about, I know, give me that box. But I think about how isolated and lonely, like I think about my own for so long. Like I just want to feel like I belong. And I know, especially like at the camp, and we could talk about the camp. The camp's like a whole, we could do days talking about that camp. It's flipping amazing. But even in spelling in the group lesson, there's times when some of the more open-ended spellers are able to share different things. Somebody shared once about how it feels being dysregulated, but how it feels so great to be here, to be understood, to feel seen, to feel like they belong. And when Kate was reading that response, the way that Noah looked at the screen, I was just like, oh my God. Yeah, because I feel it. And if I feel it this much, I can't even imagine how much it's impacting him. So it gives him a chance to connect and feel like I'm not the only one. Because I'm sure there's moments that he feels like that. Those lessons are just like, we're feeding his brain, giving him age appropriate material. We're practicing communication, practicing purposeful motor. We're getting to be in community. I am as a parent, and he is as an individual who's experiencing something on a different level. It's huge. It's so impactful.
It is. And some parents might be thinking, my son can't match his colors. He doesn't know this. He doesn't show me like age appropriate material. My son's not ready for that. He hasn't been exposed to any of this. And I just want to say, if anybody's having that thought, that's what the brain body disconnect has taught us, that they have no issues with listening. They have challenges with showing they're listening in ways that make sense to you and I, because that's how we show we're listening. They're sitting there taking it all in all these years. If they have siblings, they're listening to the siblings and what they're learning. They're watching shows, sometimes have captions. They're teaching people how to read. A lot of our kids know so much more than they're able to show us.
Yeah.
They have figured out as they get older how to read a lot of different things. And this process, what we teach you in the course materials in Flourish, is also how to help them along in that process when they get stuck, when they don't know. We're not presuming knowledge, we're presuming competence. We're not presuming that they just automatically know everything.
Yeah.
We're presuming that they're capable of learning and that they've been listening all these years and that they're able to learn. So we teach to that level.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
One of the biggest challenges I hear from parents is accountability. They have good intentions. They want to be able to do all the things, but getting it to happen, starting, right, all those things, it's hard when you're managing a household, when you're keeping kids alive, when you're, all the things on your plate. So we know how important accountability is. And so we have the world's best accountability coach. We do. Her name is Erin. She is right here with us right now. So we can actually talk to her about this accountability call. And so once a month, you get to schedule a 30-minute accountability call with Erin where she helps you get clear on what are your goals this month. And here's some steps that you can do to reach those goals. And then she'll check in with you the next month. And if you didn't get to it, that's okay. She's there to help you readjust so that you can be successful.
Yeah.
So it is my favorite part. Do you want to tell us more about that experience that you have as a accountability coach?
I mean, you explained it so well. I get to meet with parents, which I love. We all have some months we're like, yes, we're doing all the things. And then the next month it feels like we fall off. But life happens. And being able to have somebody tell you, you know what? It's okay. It happens to all of us. Kind of helps take some of that pressure we put on ourselves off and be like, okay, it happened. So how do we plan for that moving forward?
So powerful about that coming from a fellow parent who lives it, right? Rather than from me as a professional, you should be doing X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. Yeah, because I've experienced all of it. Even as an accountability coach, I'm real and I'm human and I go through all of the ebbs and flows of life. And so I get it. And so sometimes me helping other people, it really helps me too. And sometimes I'm like, wait, was this for you or was for me? Because I've gotten so much value out of it. But I love it. I love connecting with all the other parents and watching them on their journey and watching them grow. I love the whole Flourish program. You've done such a beautiful job in incorporating like every piece. It's not just skill based, there's so much. And what I think sets you apart from maybe other programs would be the flexibility. I've learned in my own life through experiences with Noah and even life in general, there's no one size fits all for anything because everybody's so different.
I cannot tell you how many times as a professional, it just feels so wrong to be taught that this is the one right way. And then a parent who lives this comes and says, well, from my experience, da 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 da. And then the program that we're trained in says, well, that's wrong because that doesn't line up with what we're teaching. It gets under my skin in the biggest way to have been in those situations for years and years and years where I have to, as part of this program, say, that's not valid to a parent. That's not cool. Right?
Yeah.
That is that parent's lived experience, and there is so much value in that. So, one, we need to value what parents have experienced as professionals. Two, I love what you said, Erin. When you're being an accountability coach for somebody else, it's helping you also have accountability in yourself. And it's similar, like in these communication partner coaching calls and the video feedback calls, when it's just you guys without your kids and you're talking, you see parents helping other parents.
Yeah.
And that's helping both of them, right? It's a beautiful community. It's a way that we can all come together and support each other and value each other and put our minds together. And so we're not going to tell anybody anything is wrong. We're going to tell you, try it and learn from it. And then we'll find out how it was in this moment for your kid. And that might not even be a reflection of how it is the next time you try it, right? Try it
I know that.
Let's really learn.
And I think that's a piece that could be valuable in so many approaches. That's one thing, like now, that I look for in people, like you're knowledgeable in whatever it is that you're focusing on supporting us with, but you're also open to the idea that there are other ways, there are other things that can be embedded within what you're doing to make it more effective for me specifically. You know what I mean? That's such a big piece. And I've definitely learned to listen to my gut, like, this doesn't feel quite right. Like I remember feeling like that when I was young. But this is what they're telling me. That the experts are saying this is it. So I'm trusting it and not saying that it's all wrong, but maybe it's not like the only way, you know?
Right. When you have that sense of freedom to try something and learn from it or not, that's life-changing for parents.
Yeah. And I think too, like, say you join Flourish, don't just start off doing your own thing. Like you want to give the framework a chance because that's been helpful for a majority of people. It's not to be dismissed. There's reason behind it. And I think it's worth giving it a shot. And then from there, okay, like part of it's maybe working, but there's a piece over here that feels a little, so then we can look at that specifically, you know, because I mean, Julie and Kate have a vast amount of experience working with all kinds of different people at different levels, different body control, all the things. And so what you're experiencing, they might have experienced that with somebody else, and they can be like, you know what? Something similar happened to somebody else I worked with, and this kind of helped. And so try it and then go from there for sure.
Yes, it's a balance, right? That's the gist of Flourish. There's so much more. We have Flourish Light, we have Flourish Plus, so that you can come in at different levels and try it out. Flourish Plus has Story Club with Jake, which is amazing. There's just all sorts of different supports to be able to practice communication in a fun way. We're all about relationships and connection. That's our foundation. That's my starting point. And so Jake does our story club. There's a great group that gets together a few times a month in different ways. And again, there's flexibility, different ways that he has for people to participate. If you're not able to come to the Zoom part because Zoom is hard, there's ways for you to participate where you don't have to be using Zoom.
Yeah, really meeting people where they're at on all the different levels. And that story club is so good. You can even just join that if you wanted to.
Be successful
But
and to have fun.
that shows like how much you're here to serve the community. I feel like everything that you do, I feel that from you. And if I'm sure you've heard me talk about the camp and you're going to continue to hear me talking about this camp. So Julie's been having a family spellers camp for 2 years. I've attended every single camp, and every single time it's like magic. And I think sometimes people think that I'm exaggerating, but then they experience and they're like, oh my God, can we start a community and live here? Because it feels like, especially for those of us who have a loved one who has a really hard body, and it's hard for them to go out and do things in just the typical community, to just be able to be and to not be, oh sorry, oh sorry, oh sorry, like all the damn time. No, like you can be, and somebody walks by and you get a slap on the leg, like nobody even like bats an eye. Right? If anything, they're like, hey, what's up? Like, yeah, I see you too. You know what I mean? People are treated like they're whatever age they are, whether they're 12 or 21 or 35. Like, yeah, it's so incredible. And I just, if experience it if you can.
Yes. This last time we had
yes.
a 7-year-old and a 30-something-year-old. So that was our age range. How is this going to be? It's the most beautiful thing. One of the things we did was we have lots of different activities people can choose from at different points. So one of the activities people could choose was to come and have a conversation. And so there was this 7-year-old and this 30-something-year-old, another young adult who was 20, a couple of them. And hearing this 35-year-old share with a 7-year-old, it gets better. It gets easier. Like, hang in there. I know it's hard, and having that 7-year-old be able to hear that and to be able to be a 35-year-old and express that to somebody, like, it's just so healing for everybody on so many levels.
Yeah. Dang. Yeah, to hear it from somebody who's lived it, not from their mom, not from the professional, say, it's going to get better. No, but somebody who's lived it. And yeah, like how healing for him to be able to like all this that I've experienced, like I can use it for something good. So I can, it's so good. Yes. Oh, how impactful for those people who have autism, who are using the text-based communication. But even for the other family members, it's giving parents chance to connect with other parents and families that are like theirs, which is huge. We don't feel judged. We feel seen. We feel validated. And it's like we want to support each other. We want the best for each other, and to be in that space and energy, it feels so good. Like afterwards, you're like, yes, people exist who are supportive, And then even like my daughter, she's neurotypical and she loves going to camp. She loves to be able to connect with other siblings because they're like her. They're experiencing both worlds. And I'm sure they have lots of different feelings, but they can get together and they can share and they can have fun together. But then she also loves coming and supporting in some kind of way, interacting with other spellers. You don't only have to connect with people who use text-based communication. You can also connect with me too, And so, yeah, every time at the end of camp, we're all so filled up.
It's so beautiful to see your daughter, Ilana, like step up in such a big way to be an advocate for the family members and for her brother and for others. She has been so instrumental in helping create the connections that happen between siblings and finding ways for them to be able to have some time together. So she's amazing. I love her.
For the Flourish program, for the camp, there are funding sources. So if you're at home thinking, how in the world would I pay for this? Like, it sounds great, it sounds fantastic, but how do I even do it? Depending on where you live, there are options available. You can always reach out to Julie, to me, and we can help you however we can. Because I just feel like, especially this communication piece, it can open up a whole nother world, a whole nother world. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like it's so easy for people to latch on to, like, oh, my kid won't do Zoom. Oh, I can't afford that. I don't have time to do all the things in Flourish. And here's the thing. There's a way. There's always a way. Don't let that stop you. Communication is too important to latch on to that one thing. So talk to us about that one thing. We're not going to be salesy and like force you to do this and get this down your throat. That's not our end goal. Our end goal is to hear, okay, what do you have going on in life? How can we adapt or adjust or connect you with some resources, or right, to make it feel more doable for your reality. Flourish has so many things in it, and just because it's there doesn't mean you have to do it all. That's what
Yeah.
Erin was saying in her calls. She'll be like, hey, take the pressure off of doing the group lessons. Just come to the communication partner coaching call and the video feedback. Like, that's huge. It's so flexible. So no excuses.
Right? The flexibility is there. You can do all the things, or you can do a couple of the things, or none of the things. It's up to you,
Right.
wherever you're at the time. See, flexibility, it's everywhere. It's needed everywhere. Yes. So, like we've talked about the communication, but I'm so curious if you can share with us maybe somebody who didn't have access to communication early on in their life. Then they were able to learn to communicate through this text-based communication, and how much their life has changed. Like, what did it look like before? What does it look like now?
I want to share about Jakob, and this is great to share about because you can actually follow him on Facebook. It's Cards by Jakob, Jakob. Follow him. They post so many videos so you can see it in action. So Jakob was 20 when he had his communication breakthrough, and he started practicing, I want to say, when he was like 18, at somewhere in this age range, right? Before communication, he ate the same 20 foods for the first 20 years of his life, basically.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
And they had to be very specific brands. If they were traveling, they would pack coolers and coolers of food. They would have to go to the grocery store and find the specific things. It was an ordeal.
Yeah.
He had to have them at certain times, like very rigid around food.
Mm-hmm.
When he first started communicating his internal thoughts, he shared he wanted to be able to try new foods. Now, his mom was floored because they had tried everything under the sun for 20 years.
Yeah.
His body protests, like, so dysregulated.
Yeah.
His mom's like, I have no idea how to do this because we've tried everything. What do you mean? This is the opposite of what I thought it was all these years.
Right.
So we asked him, how do we help you? Now, this won't be everybody's answer, right? This was his answer. His answer was, trick my body. My mind knows the truth, but my body needs to be tricked. Tell me lies about why I need to do this differently.
Wow, how interesting.
Right? Like, well, what does that look like? Well, his body, his outward appearance likes rules, follows rules. It's a tricky science that his mom has mastered. So she starts making up rules like, there's a federation that meets in the government every Friday. They come up with the new food rules for the country. And they said that everybody has to have meat with breakfast. Like, it's a thing. Does this mean his body's like, okay? No. His body is like, no new foods, no new foods. His speaking voice is saying that is protesting still. And she now knows she has to speak to the mind differently from how she speaks to the body. So when she's speaking to the body, she is speaking about these rules or throwing in some things like, hey, we're going to go to this event that you really want to go to. Well, they only serve this food there, right? It's a thing. So she's talking to his body about these rules, but then she's also breaking it down into motor steps. She's coaching the motor. In the beginning, this would take a long time. A new food would take a long time. Now it happens a lot faster for most foods, and occasionally there's still some that take a long time. She will slowly coach the motor while she's giving these rules. And then also, she knows that the mind wants to do this. So that's why she's persistent. He has told her so she can have that fuel to be behind it. And since last August, he has gone from 20 foods in his diet to over 200 foods in his diet.
I didn't know it was that many. That's massive.
Massive. Life-changing. Right? And they would have had no clue. They would have thought the opposite and stayed in that really challenging 20 foods that he actually didn't want if they didn't have communication.
Wow. How freeing for him. Wow.
Right? And they post so many videos of him eating these new foods and trying them. Like, go back on their Facebook page and watch some videos.
Yeah, those videos are amazing, so inspiring. And he's an incredible young man. He's a business owner. He's about to be in a movie, like a real legit, like, all the things. He's amazing.
It's fun to follow.
And you know what I think is really cool too? Like, I know that I feel sometimes like, do I push? Do I not push? And being able for him to tell her, like, no, I want this. Then she knows to push.
Exactly.
And the way that she's pushing feels different than like, I want it, I'm going to push, versus he let me know he wants it. And even though I want it too, because we're co-creating this, you know what I mean? It opens up the world for our loved ones, for us, for the relationship between us. Like how expansive, like it's coming. I'm dreaming it. I'm manifesting. It's gonna happen.
Yes.
Like it's already started opening, but just
it is. Noah's starting to tell us what goals he wants to work on when you offer him some choices. And that's huge. You can see him invest in that. So this can look like so many different levels at different levels of communication.
Yeah. And it's almost like it's not just the specific type of communication that opens up, because I feel like since we started, we've opened in so many ways.
He's going to be sharing all his thoughts. Stay tuned, everyone.
I'm sure he's got some too, because sometimes he's giving me that look like, oh God, Mom. I'm like, oh, I feel it. But it's okay. I will take it.
Yep. Yeah.
Wow.
It's never as bad and scary. So many parents are scared of like, wow, what are they going to say? You know, what are they going to say? And these kids and adults are the most understanding and forgiving of other people. You know, the people's fears, I don't see them come to light. But that holds people back from jumping in fully because they're scared of what they might hear. And not everything's easy to hear, but it's so worth it. And it's so life-changing to be able to have this insight.
And even if they do share something that's hard for us to hear, I feel like us maybe coming at it with the perspective of we need to release things and think about how freeing it is for us to just say something out loud. How does that feel for them? Like for Jacob, 20 years of, I don't want to just keep eating the same thing, but I can't get my body to eat something. Like
Yes.
how freeing. I'm sure the mom, his mom felt all this guilt, like, oh my gosh, I wish I would have just pushed, or why didn't I think of this before? We all go through those things, but don't stay there. It's going to come, but let it come for a minute, pass, and okay, so I'm going to move forward. What am I going to do now?
I love so much about you and then Jen, who's Jacob's mom. You both have such a beautiful ability to keep it real. You're honest, you're not sugarcoating. Also, you're inspiring and
Oh,
you
thanks.
persist and you have such a valuable way of like a filter of how you see the world. And you don't always have that view. It's like you're not this perfect person who has it all together, who's always in that space. That it's just this beautiful balance of keeping it real and also you're so inspiring.
Thanks. Definitely not perfect, but I'm learning it. I feel like I keep shedding another layer. I'm getting a little better and a little better. That's
There's
what
such
counts.
beauty in that imperfection. And I think our kids have such a, they're hard on themselves because they can't get their body and they're embarrassed about what their body does, right? That's
Yeah.
not how they want to be portrayed. And so they're hard on themselves. So when we are able to be human, be raw, be messy, it models to them how to move through that with grace as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. During our conversation, I think you've done such a good job at giving people ideas about where to start, like brain body disconnect, mindset, and building on that. But what about if there's somebody who's completely new to the community, like they're suspecting that their child might have autism or that they're just getting a diagnosis? Is there like a message or something you'd like to guide parents to? What would you say to somebody who's newly diagnosed?
I think having them start with Sprout and Grow would be so valuable because it sets your mindset from the beginning, which
Yeah.
is life changing,
Yes.
literally path changing, right?
Yeah. Save
And
so much time unlearning.
yes, exactly. Avoid all that, skip
Yes.
it. And Grow is great for all ages, whether you're 2 or 12 or 40 or 80. It's
Yeah.
good human ways of interacting. So this is going to give you tools to be able to interact with your loved one, whether they're neurotypical or not, whether they're neurodiverse or not. So start there. And many people ask too, is my child too young? What if they're 4,
Mm,
right? Start this young, right?
yeah.
So one, many kids are hyperlexic in
Yeah.
our community, which means they just have a natural ability to, they're lining up the alphabet already
Mhm.
when they're
Right.
2. They're
Yeah.
spelling words. So some people are like that. Some people are not like that. You don't hear anything. There's no speech. There's no apparent interest. No matter where your child is on that spectrum, you can still teach. You can still expose them and trust that it's going in.
Yeah.
So expose them to the age appropriate content for their age. And this will save you so much in the long run. So there
Yes.
are things you can do. And I've had students who start the spelling and communication journey at 4. We're giving them the opportunity to make a choice. And we can do that by integrating pictures and words and choices on a whiteboard or holding up the 2 objects. This is all working on purposeful communication, helping them form that point. I mean, there's 1,000 things you can do when your kid is 2. We're even developing a program for the littles. So stay
Ooh,
tuned.
I can't wait. So when that's coming to completion, we're going to bring you back on to share more about that because that's huge. As more and more people are learning about the brain body disconnect and understanding there's so much more to people who have autism that are non-speaking or minimally speaking or doing repetitive things or their body on the outside it looks like maybe they're not understanding at the depth that now we know that they are. I feel like more and more people are going to be wanting to start younger. I feel like a lot of people are maybe teens or adults who are understanding that later in life, But that's my goal, to spread the word. Don't wait until later if you don't have to. Why not start young? Why not open up those doors when they're little?
How many times I hear people say, I want to do everything I can to get speech first, so I'm going to invest fully in that. There's these myths out there that if you work on text-based communication or AAC or any alternative forms of communication, that's going to hinder speech. This could not be farther from the truth. We're
Right.
giving access to multiple ways for them to get their thoughts out. Do we only get our thoughts out in one way? No. Because I speak, does that hinder my ability to text somebody?
Right.
No. Does that hinder my ability to find other ways to communicate? No. It adds to my ability to communicate. I'm not always able to get my thoughts out through speaking. There's times when I'm dysregulated and that's not my best mode of communication. So why are we limiting our kids? This is not going to hinder speech. This is going to give them more confidence, more options, more ways to get their thoughts out. Yeah. What we hear over and over and over is, wow, my kids started talking more when we gave them access to other forms of communication.
Yeah. I feel like Noah says more. And there's even times when we're practicing and we're spelling a word and his body's stuck and I hear him whisper the letter and it's the right letter. And I'm just like, man, oh, you're thinking it. Like, what an example. Like, you're thinking it. Like, it's just coaching that body to get there. I think it supports communication as a whole. It doesn't make sense to me why you think that it wouldn't. So my final question, since you've been part of the autism community, I'm sure there's a million ways that you've grown through being part of this community. I know for me, it's, oh God, all the levels, all the things, but maybe something that stands out, how you've grown through being part of the autism community.
Yes, I love this question. I think the biggest, most freeing, valuable thing I have learned is that I am never done learning. I've had many experiences where I thought, this is it. I thought ABA was it when I was 20 years old.
Yeah.
Oh, there was another program I learned, and I thought that was it. Awesome. This is what I'm going to do the rest of my life. Nope. Then there's natural play therapy that I created. Oh, this is awesome. Of course, this is what I'm going to do the rest of my life. Nope. Communication. Awesome. This is what I'm going to do the rest of my life. No, I don't know what's next, but it's always growing and expanding when we understand that we are never done learning and we embrace that.
Right. That's so good. It's like there's never really an end because there's always more. There's always more to grow into.
And what's next? Can you even imagine? No.
Right. Oh, I love it. Okay, so if people want to learn more about Flourish, about what you're doing, even just follow you to stay connected with you, what are the best places to learn more?
I love it. So the first step would be go to autisticallyinclined.com. There's 2 things you can do there. We've got a quick start guide where you can learn how to get started right away. And we also have an opportunity for you to set up a call with somebody who can help you figure out what might be the best fit for you if you're unsure. Yeah. And then also follow us on social media. We are on Facebook. We are on Instagram. Always sharing good stuff there. So follow us.
Yes. And I'll make sure that I include all of the links and your Instagram handle and Facebook handle. So you'll be able to access that if you're watching or listening.
Throw in communicationforeducation.com too. We didn't even talk about that. My goodness. Good things over at Communication for Education through Facebook and Instagram as well.
Yes. Especially if you're interested in learning about or hearing what autistic people have to say and what they're thinking, how they perceive things that they've been wanting to share. Follow them, because it's not like I'm interpreting what they're saying or this is what Julie thinks about what's going on. No, this is directly from them. It's so powerful. It's so good.
Yes.
So good.
What it's all about.
Yep. Oh, it was so good talking to you today, Julie. Thank you so much.
Oh, I loved every second.
Thank you so much for listening or watching and really just taking time to learn more about how to support those in the autism community. If you found this conversation valuable or you know somebody who you think will, please share it. Please share it. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow Growing Through Autism. I hope you tune in again. Until then, let's keep growing through autism together.